President of the National Alliance on Mental Illness at Florida State University. She is a passionate advocate for fighting the stigma of mental illness and has come to share her story with you all this morning.
Hi, as Shelby just said, my name is Leah Wolf. Again, thank you all so much for being here today. I'm here today to talk to you about suicide. Now, suicide isn't an easy topic to talk about, so much so that nobody's talking about it, unless it's behind closed doors and in hushed voices. But suicide is a serious problem that our nation is facing, and the severity of it is this. Every 40 seconds, someone, somewhere in the world, dies by suicide. It is the 10th leading cause of death in America, and it is the #1 health-related concern and #2 cause of death for young people between the ages of 15 and 24. So I'm here today to raise my voice and open the doors to start the conversation about suicide. I'm going to start with my personal story. Now, all throughout my childhood, and even now, I've been the stereotypical cookie-cutter, perfect, blonde young girl. I have been a straight-A student, a cheerleader, and a gymnast, and involved in numerous clubs and extracurricular activities. If you asked my friends and family to describe me, they would say things like, Leah is an optimistic, positive, ambitious young woman who's extremely directionally challenged. If you asked me to describe myself, I would probably say some of those same things. And I wouldn't necessarily be lying, but I wouldn't be telling the full truth either. Because the truth is this: I suffer from mental illnesses. I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, and an eating disorder when I was in middle school. I've been suffering from these issues since I was just 10 years old. When I was 17, I had genetic testing done, and I found out I have an extra T allele on one of the chromosomes in my brain, and it's on the gene that controls serotonin. Now, serotonin is the neurotransmitter that controls mood, sleep, appetite, etc. By having this extra T allele, I only fire serotonin 25% of the time as compared to the normal person's 100, which causes my mental illnesses as well as seizures. When I was a sophomore in high school, I was attending a boarding school in Missouri. I was bullied pretty severely there, and the bullying as well as having this extra T allele caused me to hit rock bottom. On February 26, 2013, I laid in my dorm room bed as I had done 1,000 times before, only this time I was suicidal. I wrote a long, heartfelt note to my friends and family. In that moment, I felt like I had no other option. I had no perspective on life. There was no hope. I truly thought I was doing the world a favor. Thankfully, I was one of the lucky ones. I woke up 8 hours later in a hospital room, surrounded by doctors using medical terminology I didn't understand and saying the word suicide. In that moment, I felt far from lucky. I was a 16-year-old girl, alone in Missouri, with my parents in Florida. The result of my suicide attempt was a stay in the hospital, dropping out of school, moving back home, and starting intensive therapy. The 2 months that followed were the worst 2 months of my life. I was only capable of sleeping and crying. I lost so many friendships. I missed out on so many opportunities. Every second of every day, I wished that I was dead. But there is hope. There is always hope. It may take a while to find, and it's different for everyone, but it's there. For me, I saw the light at the end of the tunnel when I found a photograph of myself from when I was 8 years old. Looking at that photograph, I remembered what it was like to be 8-year-old Leah again. I remembered what it was like to be so full of life, so passionate about everything. When I was a little girl and people asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, I said, I want to change the world. Looking at that photograph, having those thoughts, was when I truly started my recovery. I knew I had to fight every single day to make that little girl's dream come true. Now, recovery is not a linear process. There are obstacles in the way. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Thankfully, I have an amazing support system. I have parents that have always put my mental health first. I have an amazing team of doctors and therapists who have worked with both my mental illnesses and the seizures. And honestly, I can say at this point in my life, I am happier and healthier than I ever thought would be possible. And that is thanks to my wonderful support systems. I have the 2 best roommates in the world. I have a great Renew family and NAMI family. And for me, exercise has been one of the best forms of therapy. I do CrossFit and yoga, and having that stress relief has truly been one of the things that has helped the most. I don't know what the solution is for everyone. I do know that there is hope for everyone. And I think it starts here, today. It starts with me sharing my story, but especially it starts with you all being here, taking time out of your Sunday morning, the week before finals, to be at this Out of the Darkness walk. Because together, we can shatter the silence and end the stigmatization around mental illness and suicide. If you are suffering from a mental illness, know that you are not alone. Mental illnesses, whether that be depression, anxiety, OCD, eating disorders, mood disorders, personality disorders, those are not identities. They are illnesses, and it is okay to seek help. Being in therapy is not a sign of weakness. If you break your arm, you don't hesitate to go to the doctor and get a cast. In fact, you're excited about having people sign the cast. So why do we hesitate if it's our mind that needs healing? Your mental health is just as important as your physical health, and it is important to treat it as such. As much as I hate what my mental illnesses have caused in my life, the friendships I've lost, opportunities I've missed out on, the overall sickness it has brought me, my pain, more than anything else, in my 20 years of living has given me perspective. From going through the dark days, I now treasure the good days so much more. And I am so thankful that the good days far outnumber the bad. So thank you all for being here today, because when I is replaced by we, even illness becomes wellness. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Leah. You did a wonderful job. At this time, I would like